Yes, I'm Jami Wardman, and I'm going to talk to you a bit today about ASO techniques and things that LabCave has learned and taught to top game developers. We're going to go over some information about ASO, including metadata and conversion rate optimization. We're going to talk a little bit about why ASO is so important, though I'm sure everybody here knows that, but I thought a good overview. And then we're going to talk a little bit about competition research, brand considerations, though I know you just got that in your last talk, how to stay up to date on ASO changes, and finally, assuming we have time, if you do decide to work with an external partner, things to think about and keep in mind for that. So really quickly, yes, I am Jami, and I have been in the gaming space for 6 years. I formerly worked at an agency that helps developers find funding for their games, services that they did not have internally, etc. And it was a great background in order to move forward in this space. So happy that. 2 years ago, I moved to Madrid, which is where LabCave is based, and I started working here. So LabCave is a mobile growth provider. They were founded in 2013. We're all based in Madrid. We're a pretty small company. We're 50 people, but we do a lot with 50 people. We used to be game developers. Now we focus more on the publishing side, as well as ad mediation, and what I'm going to talk to you a bit about today, which is App Store optimization. So, ASO, why is it important? I will say that this is more of a basic overview about some pieces of ASO. I know that Ilya is giving a talk later, and if you are interested in ASO, you should definitely listen to his talk because I've heard him speak before, and I have high hopes for that talk. I think it will be fantastic. But let's go over some basics and about it. So ASO, what does it mean? So ASO is how you gain additional organic users. What we're mainly focusing on is increasing the visibility of a game or an app within the store, and using the techniques within the store to obtain those additional organic users. We're working on getting that visit to install conversion up, and we do that by a combination of off metadata and on metadata. Traditionally, off metadata are things that we think we can't really control. Number of installs, install frequency, user engagement, etc. These are things that are decided by the user. But the things on metadata are things that you can absolutely have control over. Things like your title, subtitle, a keyword field, etc. And it's good to know that on iOS and Google Play, they are treated differently. So things like, for example, your subtitle on iOS gives you 50 characters in order to get your message across, in order to make keyword rankings, whereas Google Play gives you 80. So you shouldn't have the exact same information on iOS as you have on Google Play, because then you're not using the algorithm to its fullest extent. Also, things like on iOS, your keyword field is hidden. So you're able to attempt to use keywords that will bring a user to you that others won't know about, as opposed to on Google Play, where your long description is available for anyone to look at. Also on iOS, your keyword field only gives you 100 characters, whereas on Google Play, your long description gives you 4,000 characters. So it's really making sure to use what you've been given in order to rank better for the words that you want to associate with your title. And also incredibly important being your icons and screens, which we will go into in a little bit here. So really, what is ASO? ASO is looking at your keyword research, your conversion rate optimization, and your external campaigns. They all come together, and they all are very important for increasing your organic traffic. So keyword research, working towards search. We touched on a little bit in the last slide with the metadata. Conversion rate optimization, really working on those creatives to get people to see your game, to see the title, to see what it is that you want to show, and understand really quickly, looking at your page, what is your game about or your app about, and do they want to download it? Is it what they're searching for? And then, of course, external campaigns. We know that user acquisition has an impact on ASO. We're all looking for that magic K factor that tells you exactly what the impact is. And what we have found through our data science team is it's dependent upon the type of user acquisition campaign you're running, the type of category that your title is in, and even the company that you're working with. I mean, these are all factors that play into how your external campaign works towards your ASO. So we're going to spend our time talking a little bit about the keyword research and the conversion rate optimization, because the external campaigns are a little bit more variable. Why is ASO important? It is important because you're attracting these users to your title when they're out looking for something. So we know that we have a very crowded market. We know that there are lots of games and apps within the stores and many that look similar. So you really want to have your title stand out among those that are within the store. We know that search traffic brings a lot of global downloads. I was actually looking at this slide earlier because I think as we're heading towards 2020, we're really going to see a shift from search traffic to browse traffic. We're already starting to see it with our own titles, that we are able to, there's significantly more browse traffic coming in than there is search traffic coming in. And it appears that the algorithms for both iOS and for Google Play are really kind of pushing users towards that browse, being able to search the store, making recommendations to them, because these are, when the algorithm recommends it, there are aspects of it that they know are quality. Back a year ago, there was an update on Google Play where we saw a lot of games lose their traffic because Google really made a push towards quality metrics. And so what we're trying to focus on here is making sure that users are coming in and that they are finding your title. It also supports user acquisition, as we talked about in the last slide. Again, we know they're very connected. We know that if you have a really great conversion rate, your user acquisition costs will come down because you are less of a risk to an external campaign, to a user acquisition market. So really focusing on what your title can do is important in bringing down the price of your external campaigns, which we know a large bulk of the money spent once a game is live. It improves your ROI and the traffic quality. So users who find your game on their own feel like they have earned it, like this is a game they have found, and so they're much more likely to spend within your title. The statistics have showed us this, and we know that those users just come with a higher ability, and they feel proud of your title, and they're also, when they have a good time in it, they're willing to tell their friends about it, so it adds to your word of mouth. As I said before, sharing the voice. There's an average of 90 apps installed per device. So let's make your game or app one of those 90. And all of this leads us towards a uplift in mobile traffic, which is organic traffic, which brings in, as I said, additional users to your game or app. To grow your user base out, so it's not just paid campaigns bringing in users, but really users are being able to find it, tell their friends about it, let that word of mouth go forward. And then improve your profitability. More users in the game, more chances for in-app purchasing or to see an ad, and then to speed up that process. So we're going to break things down a little bit. We're going to look at the metadata that you can see in the stores. So on the right side is iOS, and on the left side is Google Play. So you can see the title at the top. They are slightly different. Again, being able to use the character limit that we have. You have a little bit of extra space on Google Play, so you want to be able to use it to your best advantage. In terms of weight, your title is the highest in terms of weight for keywords. So the words within your title are associated more with your game. If you think about it, you may have seen games that are match 3 and then a bunch of other words afterwards that you're like, well, I don't understand why this is here. It's here because they're trying to rank for those words. They tend to be more generic keywords, which are difficult to rank for. And so the more you can use them in your title and subtitle and then down into your keyword field and your long description, the better. The more you want to rank for them, the more you want them to be higher up in your system. And then you can see down here we have the short description for Google Play, and then long description is obviously down below further. So these are things that users can see right away when they come to your page, along with the creatives. So the creatives come about through conversion rate optimization. And I have this in front of you here to show you an example we did with a client. This game is called Zombie Frontier 3. It's by FT Games. And they came to us with some pretty decent screens and feature graphic, and said, we're just not getting that conversion that we wanted, and we're just not getting the visits we wanted. Something is happening here. So our CRO team did a bunch of research, and what they found was a lot of icons within this space are dark. So the first thing they did was lighten up the icon, and they took the words 3D off of it. Again, when we looked into the research here, having the additional words 3D on there was not doing anything for the team. So let's take it off. Let's show this gun. Let's show something about the title here. So the lightening of it, it actually isn't marked on here, but it was the third yellow line was the icon change. Then the team looked at the featured graphic, Again, they changed it from what it was before to showing a group of people fighting a monster, and when that was successful, we also adjusted the screenshot so that, again, we could show more monsters, more weapons, but still staying within the rules. There are very strict rules on iOS and Google Play about what you do with weapons, so making sure that we are not taking ourselves outside of the rules, but then using them again to our greatest advantage. And you can see here their conversion rate went up from 14.8% at the beginning to 17.7%. So the team was very happy with that. The blue line, I realize this graph is really difficult to see on here. So the blue line is the visits. So you can see their visits went up dramatically. I will note that the conversion rate did dip slightly when they had that huge spike in visits. That's very normal. You have more people visiting. They aren't all installing, though you do, again, with the orange, see there's this uptick in installs. So when you have more people coming to look at the page, but they don't all install, your conversion rate goes down, but it's only momentary. It will come back up because you will start getting more visits that it will convert to installs. So we got at these through a lot of A/B testing. So this is another title. This is called Epic Summoners. We worked on this title as well. You can see the first on the left here is we have a control version of the icon. Man angry with his mouth open. Again, with this is from Feeling Touch, FT Games. So they have their little logo in the right corner. We removed the logo, tried a variant with the same guy facing a different direction. Tried a variant with an archer, female, and then tried a variant with two characters together. What we saw was that the variant C had the highest percentage in terms of what our A/B test came back with. But the team ended up applying the second variation because all the research had shown that this one was going to do better. And the reason that we had all that research in place was looking around, seeing what the competition was doing, and seeing what was successful for other games in the same title. This happened to be an RPG title. Also, when you do a breakdown of your different cohort groups, you don't always hit everything that you want. So you just want to make sure that you're not just straight looking at the numbers, but instead really putting information behind the data. On the right here is a feature graphic test for the same title. So again, the control, what they came with to our team, and then variant A, B, and C. You can see, maybe you can see it's again very small. I apologize. Variant B was a winner in Germany and in the US, and so it was applied in those countries. Whereas variant C was a winner in Brazil. Very important for your A/B testing not to test globally, but to test by country. Different artwork speaks to people differently. So wanting to make sure that you're really getting to people at where they are. And again, part of getting your App Store set up properly is that you want users to feel connected to your game and get that from the store page. So make sure that you're able to get to them. In Google Play, you can actually have a different icon for each country. So really making sure that you are attacking the different users that are out there and making sure that they are corresponding and appreciating the title. So you've done all that. You've got your store set up. You've done your testing. Now what do you do? Well, now you have to look at what your competition's doing because it might change everything that you've done so far. Really important to look at the different data that you have available to you for your competition. So things like keywords and descriptions, things that are the titles. The titles are out in public. The descriptions on Google Play are public. What are they trying to rank for? Look at the density of words. Is there something being repeated? They are absolutely trying to rank for that word on Google Play if they are repeating it over and over and over again. Look at the art style. Is it really different from the game? Is it similar to the game? Does it look like yours? Is there something that maybe you could try to do a little differently if it's working for your competition? You may also find that your competition makes changes that don't work for it, and you want to make sure to stay away from those things. It really is just staying up to date with the data, and then also looking at what they're pushing in the game. Because this will tell you, is there some big feature that's coming out that maybe your title that is similar doesn't have, and your team could start working on something similar. It is really keeping up with what is the competition showing. And along those same lines, kind of seeing what they're doing with the stores. The graphic I have here, it shows an app that is ours. It's Royal Garden. LabCave published this. And then, unfortunately for us, a big competition would be Homescapes and Matchington Mansion. So pretty steep competition there. You can see our icon follows similar coloring patterns using the light blues. This is something you can also find within your console. The positioning of our screenshots is vertical, which is the same as Homescapes. And then you can see that the calls to action for us are on the bottom instead of on the top, as they are with Homescapes. So looking at what the competition's doing, adjusting yourself a little bit, making yourself just a little bit different to see if what they're doing is working and if maybe you can take a part of that, or if you want to be different, you want to be something else in the market that they're not seeing. I mean, the users will respond. So do test and test and test. It's the most important thing you can do. So what happens when a large game enters the market? I mean, we know it's going to have some impact, but how much of an impact? I mean, do you copy what the larger game does? Do you sit back and watch? I mean, it's kind of dependent upon the title, how it performs, and how fast your team can react. So a very recent example, on October 1st, Call of Duty Mobile came out. We all expected it to do well, although I read an article recently that Activision had put out, I believe, 13 prior Call of Duty mobile titles, maybe not called that, but in some combination thereof, and has taken 10 of them off the market. So it's not necessary that just because they have the name Call of Duty, it's going to do well, though we know that this one did. It was the fastest to 100 million downloads, I believe, of any game. So, I mean, that's just amazing. But then, is this sustainable, or is this something like what we saw? Are they just planning on this being until the full game comes out on PC and console, or is this something they're really investing in? I would assume because Tencent made it that we are moving towards it being a real game that they're putting money behind, that they want to have move forward for them and to be important for them. But something like what we saw with Fallout Shelter, where it was announced at E3 and then it was put out in the market, and they really just expected people to play it until the new Fallout game came out. But then it had a dedicated following. It got improved. It was a really fun title, and so you saw users not necessarily leave when the big game came out. So what do you learn from this? I mean, what are they doing with their icons? They're all their creatives and their metadata. If you have a game in the shooter vertical, I mean, this is something you should absolutely be looking at. This new big comer comes out into the market with this game that has a large following. It's going to have a large marketing budget. What are they doing? What are they doing with it that you could possibly do with your team? Maybe your budget's not as large as Activision's budget, but there might be, instead of paying for the users in terms of a paid campaign, there might be something you can do and see that they're doing on their page in trying to get those organics that you could also do that is feasible for your team. So just a couple things that we've learned from working with larger companies. I don't want to spend too long on this because I know you would have heard it from the last conversation or the last talk, but branding. And then also along those same lines, knowing when you need some help. So quickly looking here, branding. What are you willing to move on in terms of your brand? And are you willing to make those adjustments or not? So my example of my screens here are Dream Hospital is a game that LabCave published. We played with colors. I mean, obviously we know it's a hospital game, so we have to stick within that space, but are these the characters that people are really attracted to? Are these colors the ones that are talking to users? I mean, are these central to the gameplay? Are these things that we really want known about our title? We can make adjustments and we can change based on what the market does. A company like Uber is not going to make those same quick changes. They're going to be much slower in making those changes, and things like if they're going to change their icon, for example, it's going to be a large brand change. So it's going to be something that's going to happen outside of just, hey, black's not working for us today, Uber, so let's move it to pink. That's not going to be a decision that they make because it goes against their brand. So they're moving a lot more slowly. So by not tying yourself down to a brand, you tend to be able to make a little bit more adjustments. We see the same thing with larger titles in the mobile space, where if you have a very branded title, you don't want to make some of those changes. You don't want to add those keywords in. People know you by your title. The positive side about branding, while you can't make the changes quite as quickly, is that your keywords are more protected, and you're definitely, no one's going to be able to rank for them. Like, Uber's going to rank #1 for Uber, and that what they're trying to do is have words that are really specific for what they do, and then they don't have to fight with anybody for them because it's part of their brand. So keeping ahead of changes. There's a lot of resources out there, and I just put some basic ones on here, and plugged, of course, LabCave. But like the Android developer blog and Apple's developer blog, I mean, those are fantastic places when there's going to be changes to algorithms. They're going to be there, and they're going to be information about what the changes are going to be. I can highly, highly recommend, if ASO is important to you, to join the ASO Stack Slack group. It is incredible. Changes happen in the market, and then there's this conversation that happens among incredibly intelligent people, and it is a great place to just, even if you don't want to take part, if you just want to watch, the testing that goes on there and the sharing of information is pretty incredible. And then there are plenty of external companies that can help you with your ASO. And so I put LabCave on there as an example of an external company that could help you. Identifying your strengths and weaknesses are really, really important, as with every aspect of what I'm sure you're going to go over in gaming and with apps, is metrics that you can measure. So for example, if you're finding that your conversion rate is far below the benchmark on Google Play, or you're converting at such a low rate that your organics really aren't meaning anything to you, something is wrong, and you can figure that out. There are amazing tools available that can help you. Here, not to plug the conference we're part of, but there's a lot of tools out there. So I'd highly recommend, again, doing your research, making sure that the amount you're spending and you're getting what you want back from it. There's far more than this out there, but lots of tools to help you kind of focus on where you're having an issue and where potentially you could make some adjustments, what your competition's doing, and making sure that you're being able to keep up. So if you do decide to hire an external company, you really need to make sure that your expectations are aligned, understand the commitment that you're making, and understand what your expectations are from them, and that they have that same understanding. A lot of times the places that we run into problems are when a client has expectations that are significantly higher than what we have laid out in front of them. And a lot of times, which gets us to the next topic, is because they rush through the phase where they're learning all of this information. It is, as someone who has negotiated quite a few contracts for LabCave, I can tell you it's a very big red flag for me if a company wants to rush from contract immediately as starting, and they don't want to take time to look over the contract, and they don't want to get all the data, and they don't want to know anything. They just want to get someone working on their project. It signals there's a problem internally. So if that is what you're doing and that's why you've gone to an external company, it's not going to help you. What's going to end up happening is it's going to just highlight the issues that you're having internally. So take your time. Understand what the expectations are, make sure that you're aligned with your external company, and make sure you really understand what's in your contract so that come the time of your invoicing, nothing is a surprise. You've been working with the team and you're happy with the work that they've been doing. And that is my talk. So thank you so much for all of you who are here to listen.